Chapter 13, Massive Fines. The NewDailyNews.com reported in July 2012 that GlaxoSmithKline was ordered to pay $3 billion in fines, which to that point was the largest health care fraud settlement in United States history. The British drug manufacturer faced fines for criminal and civil violations involving 10 drugs that are taken by millions of people. The Justice Department said that GlaxoSmithKline plc were to plead guilty to promoting popular antidepressants Paxil and Wellbutrin for unapproved uses. The company was also due to plead guilty to failing to report to the government for 7 years some safety issues with diabetes drug Avandia, which was restricted in the United States and banned in Europe after it was found in 2007 to sharply increase the risks of heart attacks and congestive heart failure. The company also resolved accusations that it overcharged the government-funded Medicaid program for some drugs and that it paid kickbacks to doctors to prescribe several drugs including Flovent for asthma and Valtrex for genital herpes. The case was originally brought in 2003 by two whistleblowers, former Glaxo sales reps Greg Thorpe and Blair Hamrick. In 2011 the federal government joined the case. Prosecutors said that Glaxo illegally promoted Paxil for treating depression in kids from 1998 to 2003, even though it wasn't approved for anyone under age of 18. In May, the same year, Abbott Laboratories pleaded guilty and agreed to pay the government a $700 million criminal fine and forfeiture for promoting Depakote, approved for bipolar disorder and epilepsy, for use in patients with dementia and autism. Prior to the Glaxo settlement, the record-setting case involved Pfizer Inc., the world's biggest drug maker. It paid the U.S. government $2.30 billion in 2009 in criminal and civil fines for improperly marketing 13 separate drugs. Pfizer was accused of encouraging doctors to prescribe its drugs with free golf, massages and junkets to upmarket resorts. Acting Assistant General Stuart F. Delry, head of Justice's Civil Division, said that for far too long, we have heard that the pharmaceutical industry views these settlements merely as the cost of doing business. Today's resolution seeks not only to punish wrongdoing and recover taxpayer dollars, but to ensure GSK's future compliance with the law. Sir Andrew Whitty, Glaxo's CEO, expressed regret and said that the company had learned from the mistakes that were made. Really, Pinocchio. Unsurprisingly, it seems that GlaxoSmithKline didn't learn any lessons at all, because the BBC reported that China had fined the British firm £297,490 million after a court found it guilty of bribery. The record penalty followed allegations that the drug giant paid out bribes to doctors and hospitals in order to have their products promoted. A Chinese court gave GSK's former head of Chinese operations, Mark Riley, a suspended 3-year prison sentence, and he was set to be deported. Other GSK executives were also given suspended jail sentences. According to the Xinhua News Agency, the trial only took 1 day to complete. The company was accused of having made an estimated $150 million in illegal profits. GSK said it had published a statement of apology to the Chinese government and its people. The same person, CEO Sir Andrew Whitty, said in a statement that reaching a conclusion in the investigation of our Chinese business is important, but this has been a deeply disappointing matter for GSK. We will continue to learn from this. GSK has been in China for close to 100 years and we remain fully committed to the country and its people. You couldn't make it up. Either GSK have a stupid CEO that has been caught twice by 2 separate governments bending the rules, or they do not give a monkeys, and I'm guessing that it's the latter that applies. Of course they are not alone, as these are not isolated cases. So back to Pfizer. On the 7th of December 2016, the journal IE reported that Pfizer gets record fine for 2,600% price increase on epilepsy drug, saying that the big pharma giant raised prices by an excessive and unfair amount. They were fined £84.20 million, €99 million in the UK. The UK's Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, said that prices for phenytoin sodium capsules rose overnight after the medicine was deliberately debranded in September 2012. The cost to the NHS, which is funded by the British taxpayers, for a 100 mg pack shot up from £2.83 to £67.50. In 2012 the drug cost the NHS, British taxpayer, £2 million in total. In 2013 it rose to £50 million. According to the CMA, around 48,000 patients use the drug in the UK. In 2012, Pfizer sold the UK distribution rights for the drug to a company named Flynn Pharma. They debranded the drug, meaning that it was no longer subject to price regulation. Flynn Pharma was also fined £5.20 million for its role. Pfizer claimed that the drug was making a loss, but the CMA found that any loss would have been recovered within just 2 months of hiking the price. If that hasn't caused enough outrage, let's go back to GlaxoSmithKline, because the Telegraph newspaper reported in February 2016 that the UK watchdog fined GSK £37 million for paying to keep generic drugs out of the UK market. The CMA claimed that GSK paid a number of pharmaceutical companies, including Generics UK Limited and Alpharma Limited, more than £50 million between 2001 and 2004, aimed at delaying the entry of generic varieties of paroxetine, an anti-depressant, into the UK market. GSK's own branded version of paroxetine called Seroxat was a blockbuster of a product, with UK sales of more than £90 million in 2001. The CMA found that the delay tactic deprived the taxpayer-funded NHS significant savings and said in this case, when independent generic entry took place at the end of 2003, average paroxetine prices dropped by over 70% in 2 years. The CMA opened the case after a tip-off from the European Commission in 2010. There is a common theme in drug price hikes because in December 2016, the Associated Press reported that Viagra and Cialis now cost around $50 a pill in the US, which is triple their 2010 list prices. It was reported that the female Viagra called Adae costs $800 per month. These rises are making sex a purely financial decision, taking a lot of the joy out of lovemaking. Of course that's the plan of the elite. To stop people making love or having sex means there will be less births and less population to deal with. This is also a great way to break up the family unit, because that is another of the elite agendas. For people in relationships, not being able to have sex can be a deal breaker. In December 2016, Sky News reported how critic A. Gill described how the British NHS was unable to give him potentially life-extending cancer treatment. The Sunday Times newspaper columnist died in December 2016, aged 62, after writing that he had been denied therapy that costs up to £100,000 a year. He was diagnosed with lung cancer after being a former smoker. Gill was married to current Home Secretary Amber Rudd in the 1990s. Konrad Lewinsky asked, "Why is this such a bad place to get cancer, the UK, when we have lots of hospitals, when we teach doctors from all over the world, when we've won more Nobel Prizes than the French? It's the nature of the health service," he says. No, it's not, Konrad. It's the fact that the non-compassionate elite keep the cancer cure secret from the rest of us and our families in order that we can suffer and then die whilst they themselves are living longer lives. Some other recent finds have included $2.20 billion for Johnson & Johnson in 2013 for promoting drugs not approved as safe, $1.42 billion for Eli Lilly in 2009 for wrongly promoting antipsychotic drugs, Iprex, $950 million for Merck in 2011 for illegally promoting painkiller Vioxx, $2.30 billion for Pfizer in 2009 for the intent to defraud or mislead involving drugs like Bextra, Geodon, Lyrica and Zyvox, $600 million for Allergan in 2010 for Botox being misbranded as a treatment for pain, headaches and cerebral palsy, $520 million for AstraZeneca after misleading doctors and patients over the safety of Seroquel, $422.50 million for Novartis in 2010 over a misbranded promotion of Trileptal, $400 million for GSK in 2009 after a promotion of Wellbutrin Senior.